feet.
Nope, that one's good.
The first thing that the listeners are going to hear is all about Sasquatch feet.
Yes.
That was a very fantastic timed comment.
As soon as I said it, I saw the live go across the screen. I was like, oh, that's fun.
Dude, now that I'm back on Facebook, they keep hitting me with spam bans. For I can only like or comment on like 3 things, and then I'll get a spam delay for like an hour before it'll let me do anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now I remember why the fuck I wasn't on here.
One of several reasons.
Yeah, one of many, but still.
Okay, so you got kicked off right before the last election.
Yes.
And you come back right before the midterm election. Literally, you're literally a Russian bot at this point.
But he has to behave because it's a work account.
Well, it's connected to my work account, so I do have to behave and actually stay on so that I can continue to market with social media. Yeah, when they told me like, well, we're going to need you to set up a Facebook, I'm like, okay, we'll see how that goes.
I can try.
You didn't tell him your previous Facebook was banned?
Nope, didn't mention that.
Nope. Then they'll be like, oh, he's a domestic violent extremist.
Not
Apparently we all are.
Yeah.
No, we're all enemies of democracy because we're not, we don't obey the dementia patient in charge.
Yeah, you know how
we are enemies of democracy. Fuck democracy. It's my rule.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, democracy is fine as long as everyone agrees with me.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to be the gist
interesting.
of the speech.
Yeah.
It's only democracy if everyone agrees with me. Once people don't agree with me anymore, then it's not democracy.
Then it's a threat to democracy.
That's right.
What's the quote that democracy is 2 wolves and a lamb voting on what to have for dinner?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why
liberty is a well-armed lamb contesting the vote.
I like the one that I've been posting on Twitter with the freaking characters from Wizard of Oz. And they're burning the straw man alive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We all voted on it.
It's for the greater good. That's
right.
It's for the greater good.
The needs of the many.
Get in the boxcar for the greater good.
The needs of the many outweigh you.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. That's because the other 7 people weigh more than you, straw man. I'm sorry.
You know what's really funny about that too is that like I love Star Trek, right? Like I really love Star Trek, but what I love is the fact that I continuously point out to people that the Federation is in fact a bunch of fascists. And people go, what are you talking about? And I start pointing out how like only humans are ever in charge of anything. All of the ships are named after humans. If you're not part of it, then you're basically nothing. They continuously seek to add into their collective. Everything's collectively managed. Like, and I just keep throwing all of them. Yeah, and people go, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. So now you understand why I'm like, actually, the Borg and the Federation are just 2 sides of the exact same coin.
Just like that video I posted in our group chat earlier.
Yeah, with the Wookiee and the racist, and they're saying exactly. Yep. I love when he's like, they're against interracial dating now. Am I being pranked?
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
They're segregating themselves. What?
Where he's like, if you're white, you're privileged, and then the racist goes, yeah, it is a privilege to be white. Like, they agree on everything through the whole thing, and it's like...
Reality is stranger than fiction.
It is.
Mm-hmm. No. Which is a good thing we have the BIPCOT no government license, which covers this podcast. which allows for the use and reuse of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. We're also covered by Brandenburg v. Ohio 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Therefore, everything said here on Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion is entirely hypothetical. This is episode 193, and we're recording on a Monday because it was
Nobody had to work, and Jason's internet was shit.
Bro, it is 10 a.m. and it is already 90 degrees. It is supposed to be 114 today.
Dude, I just came in from digging potatoes out of my garden in 75-degree weather.
Yeah.
California. Well, and I put that in our Telegram yesterday that California also has apparently foot-eating like microfauna on its beaches now too, and like
sand
all
fleas,
all this crap's going on, and I'm just like, if there was ever a place to make someplace being actually cursed.
I was talking to Josh. I was talking to Josh before you guys got on. We're in California, like we homeless is off the charts, right? We got just everything, all this bad shit going on, right? Like people are literally shitting in the streets and stealing food to survive. And California politicians are going harder against plastic bags.
Because that's what's important.
We need to do something
bags
about
and
this.
Plastic straws based on a 10-year-old science fair project from 15 years ago.
Pedantry.
Dave says cloudy and 71. Yeah, my good friend Anna, it's her birthday today. She's in southern Texas, and it's rainy. It's gonna be raining for like the next 3 days. She said she got her dad made her a cake, and then bought her a pizza, and then she went and re-upped, and so she's just gonna smoke and eat pizza and cake all day. And I'm just like,
it's the life.
I'm so fucking jealous. I cannot put it into words.
That's pretty much living a day as a cat,
Yeah.
Just lounging and eating all day.
I can see the bottom of my bowl. I know there's food still in my bowl, but I can see the bottom of the bowl, and that's a problem.
Yeah, have you seen the Z Frank sad cat diary video where he's like, dear diary, I can see the bottom of my bowl. It's clear the authorities intend to allow me to starve to death. This may be my last entry.
Yes, that's there's a lot of good ones about cats because cats are assholes and they don't care.
Yep. Yeah. It's currently sunny and 70 here, by the way. So.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
A beautiful. Of course, the downside to it is it's also like 88% humidity. So
that's the one thing I'm happy we don't have.
Yeah.
We don't have the humidity, but I don't care. 114 is still 114. I don't care how humid it is.
Yeah, dry heat or not. I mean, like we used to laugh about that.
Yeah.
With when we
66 was 74%.
Yeah, in Iraq, we used to laugh about being in the desert and like, oh, it's not so much the heat, it's the humidity. Oh no, turns out it can in fact just be the heat. When it's 120 degrees in the shade, you realize
no breeze.
Oh god, it's so bad. Well, no, even when the breeze blows, you know what the breeze is it's basically
it's a sand
imagine
blaster.
What the wind is. Yeah, it's like take a hair dryer, aim it directly at your face, and just toss sand into it, like real rough, gravelly sand, and that's the wind. So hey, at least it's breezy. Yeah.
And it drops to 65 at night and feels like it's freezing.
Oh, it'll drop even colder than that at night. Like you will get frost.
And like the high desert one, the high desert is fucking ridiculous for it.
Jason, it's hotter where you're at than it is in Southern California where we used to be.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be only 109 today.
We'll break a record today.
The word "only" should not precede a temperature that is 3 digits long.
No.
That's fair.
No, never.
It's only.
It's
It's
only.
only 105.
Oh,
It's only Satan's asshole.
I mean, to be fair, there is a huge difference between 102 and 105 in Southern California. Like it's a huge difference. It really is.
yeah.
So,
So,
but
since
112 is a
Well-
completely different level.
Well, I mean, where down in Southern California is 102. That's like, Satan's asshole. Up where Jason's at, where it's 100, 114, 117. That's more like Andrew's asshole after his ghost pepper tacos the other day.
I'm only a half mile. I'm only half mile off the river, right? Like where the conflux of the Sacramento and the San Joaquin River come together. That's right outside. I'm only half a mile from it. So water is supposed to help make things cool down. No. I'm just
Not
gonna.
when it's that
I'm just
goddamn
gonna.
hot.
I'm just gonna be able to smell the river. That's it.
All the rotten
If you
fish.
go to the river, it'll just reflect the sun off of it onto you.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Like a big magnifying glass.
Now that we're being boomers and complaining about the weather,
Get off my line.
we have to go right into the hidden article. We have to go right into it because
They're all hidden articles to me, but go for it.
no. You don't understand. New Jersey town cuts down trees in town square to deter the homeless population.
What?
Wait.
Hold on.
What?
A
What?
New Jersey township cut down all of the shade trees that once lined its town square in a controversial move designed to prevent homeless people from spending time there.
Well, if you can't spend a limited amount of time there like a normal person, nobody gets to be comfortable.
Hold on.
Oh my god.
Wait. Lakewood Mayor Ray Coles said the decision was made after recommendation from the Police Department Quality of Life Unit.
That sounds like a made-up job.
Oh.
That sounds like the same type of job as a diversity coordinator.
Yes, the decision
The
was
Ministry of Quality of Life is really what that should probably be called.
the decision was made after a recommendation from the Police Department Quality of Life Unit, which the township said was triggered by numerous complaints from residents and township employees about homeless people defecating and urinating in the area.
What is the name of this town?
Lakewood, New Jersey.
Well, first of all, it's New Jersey, so could you tell if people were defecating and pissing that they were homeless people? Probably not. It's New Jersey.
It's probably not far off from Frisco.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
right.
much just one giant pile of shit.
Yeah, Ray Coles, the homeless people, were harassing people, defecating between cars, and residents were complaining. So the solution is to cut down all the trees in the town square.
So we decided to ban happiness.
So
Ban oxygen and happiness.
Lakewood is a coastal community outside of Trenton.
Well,
Yeah,
there you go.
Trenton, yeah, that's enough. Claudia Romero, who works in a tax preparation company across the street from town square, said that one day she found human feces on the sidewalk in front of her office and then submitted a complaint to the township.
So
The township-
she basically found herself living in San Francisco
The
temporarily.
township did not say how many complaints it received.
It received exactly one, hers. It probably wasn't a homeless person. It was somebody pissed off at the way she did their taxes.
Or it was a dog.
Yeah, or it was a dog. See, that's the other thing is when you're going to this, she submitted, I'm like, a sample? How else did she know it was human? Could you be certain? It could have just been a really big dog for all you know.
Have you ever seen a Great Dane shit? I mean,
Yeah, actually, I have.
that's a lot.
I used to babysit my neighbor's Rottweiler, like purebred female Rottweiler, like 200 pounds. that stuff that'll
My
fuck
dog
you.
Ammo was 120 pounds. When he took a shit, he took a shit.
Yes. And dog food doesn't smell good going in or out.
No.
Nope.
Advocates for those who are unhoused say the move was unnecessary and does nothing to help those in need. Quote, well, if they create a shelter, they create some accommodations for homeless people. Then they don't have to worry about that. It's extremely extreme to cut down trees. That's not the answer. So
Like,
Steve
that's-
Bingham, a minister and the head of the Lakewood Outreach Ministry, who has been working on the behalf of the homeless people for 20 years.
What goes through your mind that your solution to homeless people is to cut down trees? Like, what screwed up thought process occurs that you're like, I got it. We'll destroy the oxygen giving plants
In the town square, the public
town
property, the public property town square, because the homeless were using the shade trees as shade. The solution is to cut down the trees to get rid of the homeless.
You know, there was an article a little while ago that I vaguely remember where I don't remember if it was New York or where it was, where a town removed all of its benches from its town park to discourage the homeless from hanging out there. And I'm like, so because people are using the benches in the park, you're removing them.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's like the ones in various places that put dividers and handrails up on all of the benches to prevent
They
homeless
did that
people
in a
from
lot
laying
of
down on them.
cities where I'm from in Southern California. They do the handrails in between each seat so you can't lay across the benches at bus stops and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think my favorite solution to that is the guy who just had the big piece of plywood and he just laid
Put
it
it on
across
top.
all the handles, so it just leveled out and then laid on it anyway. Solutions.
And so the rest of the article that really doesn't matter, but I have to point out this one thing. In Lakewood, the Solutions to End Poverty Soon, that's the STEPS program. It's a nonprofit program. It's supposed to help the homeless. It requires a computer and an email address in order to apply for help from the.
For fuck's sake!
They're homeless.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
It's it's like when people look at homeless people and they don't give him the money, he's just gonna waste it. What do you expect him to run down to Walmart for a CD rack and a wall unit? He's homeless.
He'll go down and buy one of those
zip tying a CD rack to their shopping cart.
It's like, what he's just gonna waste it. What would you propose that he spend that on?
Man. Oh.
According to the this particular program, they're supposed to spend it on a computer, temporary internet access, and a burner phone so they can be contacted.
He's gonna spend it on Josh's OnlyFans. Sasquatch toes. Oh.
Like what?
Quick kink shaming.
Like that's just completely.
Josh's
whole...
number one subscriber is going to be Rex Ryan. You watch.
Yeah, but this whole
This
solution,
show's already taken a turn.
this show was doomed from the start, bro.
We're not even 20 minutes in, guys.
We're 20 minutes in,
and by the time it's over, all four of us are going to be smoking craters. I mean,
it's an act of
it's for the common good, guys. It's for the common good.
They voted on it. That's how democracy works. But yeah, the solution to fighting homelessness is to cut down trees.
To make everyone uncomfortable and de-beautify a public space.
Yeah.
Because the homeless people might de-beautify the public
Now,
space.
nobody will want to go there because there's no shade.
Yeah. And they're going to complain that there's no shade. So they're going to put up shade structures. But then
Yeah,
the homeless,
artificial
But then the
structures.
homeless would go underneath
People
those
will
too.
then bring easy ups, but then the police will say, no, you can't do easy ups. So then they'll start tasing and shooting everybody that brings an easy up.
They'll roll over them with a bulldozer.
oh man, they're gonna drone
It's
strike.
medicinal, sir. That's a Komatsu D355.
It's my emotional support Komatsu, all right?
Yes,
Right.
my emotional support dozer.
Just have a great big harness on it, says "Do not pet."
Did you see? Did you see out of New York the guy with the emotional support alligator?
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, there's
That sounds
video.
amazing, though.
There's like a
Oh, yeah, I did
splash
see
pad.
that video.
The splash pad in the park, right? With the fountains going off in the park, like the guy's walking his support alligator in New York through the water fountains. And then there's like a whole thing on it, and it's like a registered support animal, and like there's pictures of him like
So there's not a
Hugging-
goddamn thing they can do
hugging
with it.
the
He's
alligator.
holding it. Yeah,
Like
Oh
what
my
the
good
fuck?
lord.
the gator seems to be fine with it. I mean, it's an
Well,
alligator, so
the gator will be fine with it right up until he finds out that he's big enough to eat him.
It's
well,
not
it
that, it's
depends
not
on
that
how
big.
big it
It's,
gets.
yeah, it's small enough. But
For
like,
now,
Well, it'll probably
if you were
stay
if you were
small.
like
My
4 or
guess is
5
it's
years if you were
human.
like 4 or 5 years old, I would be worried.
Yeah,
But, like,
I mean, but realistically,
but on the flip side, having an emotional support alligator keeps people away, so it's doing its job.
that's true.
yeah, that's
Until you
Dude, I don't
find
think
somebody who has
social-
an emotional support came in and they just become friends.
I'm just saying, like, the whole social distancing thing didn't actually do anything for COVID, but man, it certainly did something for my comfort in public.
Yeah.
Just everyone staying 6 feet away from me. I was like, this is great. Let's keep this up.
Ugh.
And then me, on the other hand, I get rammed by people's carts for not wearing a useless face diaper.
Oh man, I was laughing. I went down. Our local chamber of commerce does it's called Fourth Friday, so it's like a big event down in the city park where they have a bunch of food trucks and music and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
The artists set up booths and everything. I went down there and there were people standing in line for food, socially distancing, on a sunny summer day. Sun beat down, everything. They were all staying 6 feet apart. So, like, as I'm walking down along, looking,
They've
at
all
what-
been conditioned now to.
yeah, and I'm like walking along, looking at all the food trucks, and like just walking right in between them, and I'm getting glares, and I'm like, say something. What? You're 6 feet away from the dude ahead of you. There's plenty of space for me to walk through. I'm gonna walk through.
No, you
It's
know
a
what the
sunny summer day.
You know what the
morons.
solution to that is, right? Cutting down more trees.
Apparently,
Yeah.
clearly it is.
No.
That's That's why La Crosse has such a homeless problem. It's all of the trees.
It's too many
We
too many
need to
trees.
cut all of our trees down.
Didn't
and then
they
they'll
all?
just go away.
The funny thing is about that, the vast majority of the homeless people in La Crosse are down in Huska Park,
Yeah, they're all in.
where there are
it's been
very few
designated
trees in the
campsite
first
now.
damn place.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that La Crosse did that because they were like, well, what do we do? And their solution to the homeless problem is, hey, why don't we just say this park is now a designated campsite? Let them set up tents down there, and they can all just live right there, and they're
Yep.
fine. And then they hired one private security guy just to make sure that nobody does anything stupid down there. And they have bathrooms, they have showers down there, they got their tents and everything. And everybody's like, oh, okay, whatever, and then moved on with their lives, and they're fine.
I have family down there, unfortunately. But
But
I mean,
it could be a hell of a lot worse. There are
could
clearly
be a
much
hell of a lot
dumber
worse.
things they could have done, like cutting down a bunch of fucking trees.
or bulldozing the park.
Yeah. Instead, because they all started setting up camp down in the park after they got rid of the tubes, they went, I guess this is a campground, and so they just designated it a campground so that they didn't have to worry about it. And now it's just a campground.
Now what I'm
cut down the
waiting,
trees.
right? Well, they took over the ball field. That's what happened. But I'm actually
I just
surprised.
got a flashback to Chop. They said taking over ball field.
I'm actually half
That's the
surprised that they
capital
haven't
hill of
waited. Yeah,
autonomous. Yeah.
I'm actually half surprised that what they didn't do is get all the homeless to relocate down there and then like bomb the bridges, so they were stuck out there.
No,
Yeah, because
then
it's an island.
Yeah,
but then they wouldn't be able to get in there to cut the trees.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, that area of town was already.
well, I mean, the
Anyway,
sewage treatment
so-
plant is on that island too, so
Yeah, but I mean, like, it was already like any of the houses that were around there were barely
pretty well
habitable.
dilapidated. Yeah,
Yeah, so it was. You can't tell the difference between the homeless encampment and the neighborhood down there. So it's fine. No one cares.
So the homeless encampment is actually nicer.
It is.
It
in
is,
a lot of
actually.
ways. It is actually. It's much cleaner. Things are picked up regularly.
No, that's Detroit. Detroit has that too. Where the squatters take better care of the houses than the renters.
Mm-hmm.
No, but
Well, because a lot of it is pride of ownership, right? Like, they didn't have anything before. Now they have this home. They're going to take care of the home because it's their home now. Whereas these renters are like, I don't fucking care. It's not mine.
yep. Okay. Where do we want to go? Arkansas? You guys want to go to Arkansas?
I mean, I don't want to.
Why would anybody want to go to
Anyone want to go to Arkansas?
Because the city police are banned from writing speeding tickets.
That's awesome.
Yeah. This is,
well, in that case, I'd be willing to go to that specific town.
yeah.
On a completely unrelated note, I bet you there's probably an exotic car rental place somewhere not too far away.
The town of Menifee, Menifee, Menifee.
Yeah, it's Menifee.
Sounds about right.
So the town of Menifee is fairly small with a population of 274. But something big has been going on. Quote, clearly they were writing substantially more tickets than other communities that were similarly sized. That's according to Tom Tatum, the 15th District Prosecuting Attorney. Tatum was one of the individuals who audited the town and discovered some surprising results. According to Arkansas state law, no more than 30% of a city's revenue can come from traffic citations. That has not been the case in Menifee. Quote, nearly 20% over that 30% threshold, and so clearly they were writing too many tickets, that Tatum explains. Over $120,000 was collected during the 2020 audit, leaving people wondering whose fault it was, though the answer depends on who you ask. Menifee Mayor...
Uh-oh.
Oh, are we losing Jason?
Uh-oh.
Oh no. Is it already? Is it already getting
Jason
hot
just
enough?
got stingrayed.
Sun raid, sting raid, you know.
All right, hold on here. Let me that. Yeah, I think we lost Jason. Hopefully it doesn't end the stream if he drops.
I think it does. Well, you know what?
All right.
Technical difficulties.
How about now?
Oh, he's back.
Now we got him. We got him.
Okay, that was really weird. It's like it was just on the laptop. Still hear me?
Yeah, we
Yep.
got you.
Okay. Well, it looks like I'm fully back. What was the last thing I said?
There's something about Arkansas state law.
Okay, so according to Arkansas state law, no more than 30% of a city's revenue can come from traffic citations. This has not been the case for Menifee. Quote, nearly 20% over that 30% threshold, and so clearly they were writing too many tickets. That's, again, according to Tatum. Over $120,000. This is a town of 247 people. Over $120,000 was collected during the 2020 audit,
Cool.
leaving people wondering whose fault it was. Though the answer depends on who you ask.
That's fucking it. Like, that's the kind of town you don't drive through if you can help it, because you're obviously going to get pulled over.
Right.
Yes.
And they probably have like one cop.
No. Hold on. Menifee Mayor Gary Green said that he was fed up with the situation and blamed it on Menifee Police Chief John Randall. Quote, when I hired him, I said, we can't write tickets 10 miles and under. But yet these guys were writing tickets 10 miles and under.
Can you imagine doing 8 miles an hour over the speed limit, getting pulled over, and actually getting a fucking ticket for it?
Hold on.
I can't, because I mean, I know here, anything under 10 over is like a $50 ticket. It's not even worth the fuel for them to pull you over.
Yeah.
But if you go 10 over, it's $150, and that makes it at least financially, solvent.
Yeah, it's like $154 for 11 over, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've gotten a lot of speeding tickets. I know.
So,
You do?
Okay. So Menifee Mayor Gary Green said, when I hired him, I said, don't write tickets under 10 miles an hour, but yet this guy was still writing tickets 10 miles and under. Green wasn't mincing words and didn't have kind things to say about Chief Randall.
This guy's a fucking dick.
Because to me, he's incompetent. Randall
Based mayor.
Randall said that Green's statements are unwarranted. Quote, the only reason I could see he's got harsh words for me is because I'm enforcing the laws in Menifee.
Oh, you fucking...
You're a fucking dick.
Yes.
But I am enforcing the law. Well, you were just told when you were hired, hey, don't write tickets for 10 and under. There's no point. And then but it's the law. Oh, you're one of those douchebags.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You are one of those cock gobblers, yes.
According to records.
Damn it, Cartman.
According to records from January 1st, 2018 to August 24th, 2022. Remember, this is a town of 247 people.
The
771 citations were issued by just one officer.
Wait, one?
The next highest amount of citations by one officer was 263.
So these cops are effectively writing everyone in town an average of 2 tickets each.
The data also showed that there were no warnings given in that time period.
Yeah, no shit.
Something Randall has said he had encouraged the officers to do when he was hired.
Yes.
What?
Yes. Okay. Now here's a twist. As for who's at fault, right? One person did come forward and claim responsibility. In a text, Menifee City Alderman Derek Hammond said, quote, Chief Randall was given permission from the mayor and the city council to go after past due and unpaid tickets. The tickets were written by officers who no longer work for the city. We as a city council failed to make sure that happened and now face police sanctions for a year. Menifee Police Department will now be banned from writing speeding tickets for a year.
Oh man, can you?
I want to go down there and just drive back and forth through town at 90. Yeah, just hammer down.
Like lease or rent, because there are exotic car rental places where you can rent. I mean, they're expensive, but you can rent like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, whatever. Just get a Ferrari and a Lamborghini and just fucking fly through there at like 85, 90, right in front of those fucking cops, and just flip them off as you go by.
The Super Troopers.
They'll still pull you over, but they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, they can't give you a ticket. All they can do is be like, "Hey, slow down." Fuck you.
So yeah, Menifee is northwest of Little Rock. So.
Oh Jesus! Like
it's already a poor ass state. Let's rob our town of 274 people for $120,000 annually.
It's,
I mean,
and the one officer wrote 771 tickets in 4 years.
That's almost 3 tickets per person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a town of 274 people. I mean,
listen, so they're averaging more than 2 tickets a person.
yeah, and it's not.
And
to be,
in
I mean,
town.
they're probably
Every
nailing
person.
people that are just passing through town too.
Yeah, there's
at
a
every
highway. There's a highway
opportunity.
that goes through there. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's like that town down in Florida. What was it? They had the cops there's like one little tiny stretch of interstate that goes right through the town.
Yeah, where it goes from like 65 to 45, right?
Yeah, and they would set up right at the speed limit sign and pull everybody over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
That was on AAA.
Yeah,
they released.
they wouldn't even go in
every year, and that was like
Right.
number one to avoid.
They never did anything as far as actually patrolling the streets of the town. They just sat out there and collected money from people on the interstate.
Yep.
Yep.
But it's
road pirates. Pirates gonna road pirate.
Yep. That's where I was getting at, because Arkansas state law says no more than 30% of a city's revenue can come from traffic citations. So 30% of a city budget
Of the police department.
can come
Yes.
from traffic citations.
Yeah, so if the city has a budget of $500,000, let's go super low, $500,000 budget.
I mean, yeah, it's a town of 274 people.
Yeah, so you're still looking at, 30% of that, right? Which is what? That'd be what, 30%? I don't even want to do the math. Somebody else do the math.
150.
Yeah, about 150,000.
About a little over $150,000 in traffic citations is allowed.
Yes.
Like, that's insane.
Absurd.
And that's annually, every stinking year.
Yeah,
Just and if you're speeding, you know who you're hurting? Absolutely no one. All the traffic
potential is there.
Yeah, all traffic citations
that's all
pre-crime. It's punishing you for pre-crime. There is no actual victim when you speed at all. There's a victim when you crash into someone, but there is no victim when you're simply going fast. You're not hurting anyone. All you're doing by saying, oh, well, you should be able to be pulled over for going too fast, you're just saying that you should be able to be charged with what might have happened.
Some homeless guy sat under your tree. We have to cut your tree down.
Yeah,
you should be. What they're saying is, you can, by saying that too, Andrew, is you should have the opportunity to be executed by the state simply for driving your car above this arbitrary line.
Yeah, this arbitrary line. It's the same thing as when you don't wear seatbelts and you get ticketed for. Like, who am I hurting? No one but me. And I'm not even hurting me if I don't crash.
That's right.
If I want to risk my life stupidly simply because I don't want to put a piece of cloth across me, then that's on me. That's not on anybody
Actually,
else.
it wouldn't be on you, but yeah.
Well, yeah, the piece of cloth would not be on me. But, like, I think you're an idiot if you don't wear a seatbelt. You're just asking to die in a car accident. But if you want to do that, you're not hurting anyone. Anyone at all.
Don't tell me how to end my life.
Yeah. It's like helmet laws, too, on motorcycles, right? Like, oh, you have to wear a helmet. Why? Who's going to get hurt if I don't? No one.
Me.
No one but me. And I'm the one who chose not to wear a helmet, so that falls on me.
Called personal fucking responsibility.
Yeah. That's what it is. Is all of these laws and stuff, they're really all they really are trying to take responsibility from people who have personal moral agency and give it to the state. It's the big daddy government thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the people who clamor for them they just want big daddy government to hold their hand because, oh, but freedom is scary.
And that's it too. And a lot of that comes from that fantastic 15,000 hour 13-year indoctrination program that they try to mandate your kids go through.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the city budget, you guys. I'm still here. I can't find it.
I was looking at that too here. Hang on. Census. Oh, I mean, their Wikipedia article is literally one paragraph.
Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not. It can't be that much. It's only 274 people. So, but yeah, it's like you guys wrote so many tickets that you exceeded 30% of the city budget, and now you're being punished by not being able to write speeding tickets or being able to write tickets anymore. Yeah,
Like,
which is like hilariously karmic.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
now they have to just sit there and watch people flying past them and everything, and they can't do shit about it.
Yes. Yeah, no more speeding tickets.
They can probably still issue warnings, but now they can only issue warnings, which means that it's a hollow warning. It's, you should stop that, and then walking away. That's all they can do.
They might as well just pre-print the warning when they walk up to your window. Here you go. Here's your warning.
just copy and paste on the copy and paste warning. Well, you were doing 70 miles an hour over the speed limit. Here's a warning.
It's like a Mad Lib book for warnings.
All right, we got we spent too much time on small talk. I got a quick one, and then a medium one, and then we'll get into the Dark Biden speech, and another one after that.
Oh, it's
Good.
U.S. Highway 64 that goes through Menifee. That explains it.
Yeah, 771 tickets in 4 years by one officer, which also says that they have that their police department is big enough to have multiple officers. Which means this isn't a one-off.
274 people.
274 people. What they have enough officers to have a police chief and multiple officers.
The three towns between me and the town I grew up in are each 500 to 700 people, and they have one cop.
Yeah, the place that I want to live has 2 sheriffs for the whole county.
It's just
Yeah.
the idea that you are, I mean, and keep in mind that they're then pulling in enough revenue to support paying that many cops, which means obviously they were writing a ton of tickets because they were trying to keep their jobs, so they had to crank that budget up.
That's right.
It's,
You know what the problem is? Is they didn't cut down enough trees.
clearly,
If they cut down more trees, their town would be less appealing to people because there's not enough trees, and then they wouldn't have all these problems with speeders.
see, it's the solution is trees are the cause of all crime.
Yep.
We finally reached.
That's what it is.
I
That's
know
what-
how we
that's what-
achieve.
So the final solution is to genocide the trees.
Yes,
destroy all trees.
destroy all trees. Yeah.
The farmers in the Amazon apparently have the right idea.
So we are now all benders for trees. Destroy all trees.
Yeah.
Destroy all humans. Destroy all trees.
DHS video urges Americans to report family members who challenge government COVID claims on social media.
You must report the antisocial elements to the Gestapo.
Oh, hold on. Just
And do not
save,
forget to eat the bugs.
save that line. Save that line, Andrew. An informational video from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency,
CISA.
which is an agency of the Department of Homeland Security, encourages Americans to report their family members on social media for challenging the federal government claims about COVID-19.
The Department for the Security of the Fatherland.
Yes. The CISA's video, established as a resource to stop the nation's greatest homeland security threats, shows a young woman, Susan, sitting at a computer. Quote, consider this post from Susan's feed. It's from her uncle Steve, who claims, quote, everybody knows COVID is no worse than the flu. The video's narrator says before listing logical fallacies allegedly committed by Susan's uncles. Quote, Comparing a pandemic virus to a seasonal virus also commits the fallacy of weak analogy, because the two viruses have telling differences. Steve fails to share those differences, committing the fallacy of suppressed evidence. Finally, unless Steve is an infectious disease expert, he is also committing a fallacy of an appeal to authority.
First of all,
He
that's
is-
not what appeal to authority means, but what you just did is, in fact, an appeal to authority.
He is presenting this information as if he were an expert in the field when he is not. Susan doubts her uncle's claims, but she is not an infectious disease expert either.
Just gonna just maybe look at this.
What he's got.
The CISA video and similar content do not reveal the full extent of the DHS's efforts to quell mis, dis, and malinformation, which, as noted by the Foundation for Freedom Online, is done largely via partnerships with tech companies, civil society groups, and media institutions. Together, these entities target certain narratives and the people who extol them as a, quote, whole of society approach.
What I feel like there's this economic. There was this political model that existed that involved like a mesh between businesses and government, where government tended to control the businesses, and
maybe it became really popular about a century ago.
Yeah, it became really popular like 75 or so years ago. Italy, Germany,
Poland. I think Poland was
Spain.
involved, right?
Poland was involved.
Whether it wanted to be or not.
Italy,
Austria, Hungary.
Oh.
They kind of like adopted something like one of these models, and then like they went after things with people.
I'm fucking reporting myself. I need some more excitement in my life. Hold on. Numerous DHS training sessions for state and local election officials covered by FFO instructed these individuals to report disinformation within their communities to DHS. During the same training, DHS brought out its partners, the Harvard Belfer Center, who also encouraged the mass reporting of social media posts by U.S. citizens.
You know,
DHS. Hold on. The FFO writes in a report about DHS's censorship practices. Quote, when North Korea engages in this practice, the U.S. State Department calls for sanctions. But when the U.S. Department of Homeland Security does it right here to Americans, it's rebranded as an upbeat buzz term, building resilience. Not resilience from cyber hacks, resilience from your mind being influenced by Uncle Steve. Because believing Uncle Steve would, quote, undermine public trust in the U.S. government.
You must publicly denounce your Uncle Steve or go to Gulag.
This really makes me think back to a fantastic line by Robin Williams. Back would have been his Live on Broadway special, where he starts talking about, now we have the Department of Homeland Security, which we couldn't call it Fatherland because a lot of old Germans are going, that's a good one.
Exactly. I call it the Department of Fatherland Security all the time, and people look at me funny, and I'm like, what? Would you prefer Motherland? The Department of the Motherland Security.
There's a certain segment down there in Argentina that is looking at this and going, oh, copycats.
We see that first.
Are you kidding? There's a certain world leader who is in control of the largest by landmass country on the planet who's going, this looks familiar.
It's just like the thing is, like
it's the Spider-Mans pointing at each other.
Yeah, there are a bunch of guys down in Argentina right now who are like, but when we do this, you fight a war against us? What is going on? What the hell is this shit?
See, we were right. We were just a century too soon.
That's just and these people
hashtag Global said it first.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's and the funny thing is too is like, first of all, remember that the Gestapo in Nazi Germany generally didn't go out and find people. They waited for people's neighbors to denounce them to the Gestapo and recommend them to the Gestapo, and then they went in and they did their investigation. For the most part, the Gestapo didn't themselves go out and find anybody. They didn't spy on anybody.
That was the whole point of Anne Frank's diary.
Yeah, it's the Gestapo weren't the ones who were doing this. This was the average person was denouncing their neighbor as somebody who is potentially an antisocial element. And like there are records, because we have records from the Gestapo, right? We have records from the Gestapo in Vichy France and in Germany and in Austria. And like there are in the archives, you can find their reports. And like constantly people were denouncing their neighbors because they didn't like them. And the Gestapo would look into it and be like, they were just pissed off at this guy. He's not doing anything. Like, move on, next investigation. And
you mean kind of like red flag laws?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and you keep seeing it where they keep just going, I don't like this guy. And then this guy now is getting investigated by the Gestapo. Like, there is one lady who reports her neighbor as having spoken out against Hitler and the Nazi Party. And when they investigate, they find out that it's just that he always had his radio too loud at night, and she didn't like it. And so that's why she was trying to get him arrested and tortured by the Gestapo.
Like Randy Weaver's neighbor in 1985?
Yep.
Gee.
Yeah.
There's even other tattletale laws, like in California, that before I left, they passed a law where they're encourage your neighbors to turn in other neighbors that have out-of-state plates for too long.
Water usage. That's the big one right now is people that are overwatering their lawn.
Yep.
Or
at
all watering their lawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or we have also something here called a spare the air day, where the air is still enough that the smog reaches a high enough level, and like you can't use your fireplace or your wood stove unless it's your only source of heat. And you can't mow and you can't use chainsaws, nothing like that. So, but like if you do, your neighbor.
Nope. They got him again.
We lost him again.
Jason's neighbor denounced him.
CISA's not a fan of this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean this. Remember that, like in the Soviet Union and in Nazi Germany, the people who were really responsible for getting people locked up in gulags and in concentration camps and things as antisocial elements were not it wasn't the Gestapo, it wasn't the Abwehr, it wasn't the NKVD or the KGB, it was your neighbor. And by making neighbors turn on neighbors so that everyone was scared of each other, they couldn't organize because as a rebellion against you, because they were terrified that if they tried to, they'd get denounced, and then they'd wind up getting thrown in gulags or getting thrown in the concentration camps. And that happened a lot. Remember the first prisoners in the concentration camp system were German citizens.
Yes.
Not Jews, not gypsies, not any of that. The first prisoners in the concentration camp system were Germans, just average Germans who had been denounced by their neighbors. They were the first ones to get locked up.
Yep. And, you see it nowadays with COVID lockdown policies. We saw it in the state of Wisconsin over in the Oshkosh area, where a group of kids in a trailer park were at the park playing. And because they were out at the park playing, the cops showed up, dispersed the kids, and then went to each and every kid's parents' house and chewed out the parents for letting their kids play together because we're in a public health emergency. And that type of action was condoned and even encouraged by our lovely governor, Tony the fucking Tyrant.
Yeah, that's like in Idaho. They had the when the lockdowns first happened, there was those parents that took their kids to the park, and they had police tape on the playground equipment, like where kids couldn't go play on it, but kids went and played on it. Like parents didn't touch the tape, like the tape was still there, but they arrested parents for letting their kids play on the like not being in the park. Being in the park was fine, but letting the kids be on the playground was an arrestable offense.
But the fact that all of this is happening shouldn't necessarily surprise anybody, because remember, during the Trump era, the conservatives were all happily applauding Trump's moves towards exactly these things. Remember, he was talking about like Trump encouraged people to report illegal immigrants, report their neighbors for being illegal immigrants and stuff to get them arrested. Like this was already.
Are you hiding Mexicans under them floorboards?
Yeah, you have the Mexicans underneath your floorboards, do you not?
Their tacos are great, bro.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Are you kidding me? Have you been to that food truck? Yes, I'll hide them underneath my floorboards. Fuck you.
But speaking of taco trucks, Andrew,
the DHS walks in. What's that chopping sound?
There's a taco truck in Sparta that always parks out by their indoor storage facility. Oh man, if you ever get a chance to coming through town, go there.
Bro, you ain't even had a taco truck until you had one here in California, in the Bay Area.
Oh, I've had taco trucks down in San Diego.
Taco trucks.
Yes,
you try
Tacos Del Gordo plus the taco trucks that were outside the Cisco Live convention. It was fantastic.
There are taco trucks in the Bay Area and in Southern California that make more than popular brick and mortar stores. Brick and mortar restaurants.
Danny Trejo has a taco truck.
Yeah,
Trejo's tacos.
Danny Trejo's on Far Cry 6.
House. They made enough that they opened their own brick and mortar.
Yeah, but I mean, that was already getting encouraged, right? Like we were already moving towards that when the conservatives were in power, and now that the hard left is in power. Remember when they were talking about before they took power, they said once we get power, it's our turn. And they fully open that they were going to make all these moves. They didn't hide any of this.
And they said the same. The conservatives said the same thing in 2016, right before Trump took over.
They said it in 2008 under Obama. Change. Which nobody is surprised if you're a fan of libertarian literature and have read Hans Hermann Hoppe's What Must Be Done.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting that out there. No, but. Yes, that's a good segue. I had to get that one out of the way to segue into Dark Biden or Dark Brandon. Is that what we're calling him? Dark Brandon?
Darth Brandon?
Darth Brandon.
Darth Brandon. There you go.
Darth Brandon.
The Star Wars: The Rise of Brandon.
Biden declares MAGA Republicans enemies of the state. And to be accurate, yesterday in a speech, Donald Trump declared Biden to be an enemy of the people.
Because that's really going to help, tamp down the temperature that Biden turned the heat up on.
Mm-hmm.
Biden can't spell temperature, bro.
That's fair.
I just keep poking both sides, going, come on, do it. You know you want to. Come on,
right?
Come on.
Come on, make a war already.
Yeah, come on. Do a civil war.
Poke it with a stick meme. Come on,
do a war
already.
It's the masked goon, and he's sitting on the park bench, and he's got his head down. He's like, nobody will start a civil war.
Yeah, I'm picturing right now, just Biden on one side and Trump on the other, and it's like the Yo Mama competitions. And and I'm just the MC going, oh,
sitting there with Joe Rogan. Like he's sitting on the sideline or sitting outside doing the commentary for an MMA fight. It's just Andrew, Joe Rogan, and us.
Bro, we could pay off a lot of student loans with a Rumble in the retirement home.
Yes, we could. Yes, we could.
Oh no, he's got the wheelchair.
What is this? It's Dianne Feinstein wobbling down the aisle.
He's taking the tennis balls off of his walker. He means business now.
With the steel walker.
What's this from the outside? It's John McCain's tumor. Foreign object.
The crowd immediately goes wild. Yeah! Woo! That's one thing that'll never get a heel run.
McCain's tumor.
McCain's tumor. It's always going to be the hero. Always.
Saint tumor. Oh God! I hope Liz.
Now that we're all going to hell.
I hope Megan gets upset at that.
Oh.
So Biden declares MAGA Republicans enemies of the state. I have to read a little bit of his speech. I want to read the start of his speech because it starts off so good. I mean, a little bit of rhetoric. I mean, but that's politicians. But it starts off so strong, and then it just like goes hard,
completely off the rails.
Hard fascist, yeah. But my fellow Americans, please, if you have a seat, take it. I speak to you tonight from the sacred ground in America, Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is where America made its declaration of independence to the world more than 2 centuries ago with the idea, unique among nations, that in America we are all created equal. This is where the United States Constitution was written and debated. This is where we set in motion the most extraordinary experiment of self-government the world has ever known with 3 simple words: we the people. These 2 documents and the ideas they embody, equality and democracy, are the rock upon which this nation is built.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, all the founding fathers who said that democracy was an absolutely terrible idea and could never survive and was nothing but mob rule. That's definitely one of the cornerstones that they founded the country.
Oh, don't forget the equality part of that.
Yeah, the slave owners. They also, the slave owners who said that democracy was a terrible idea.
Don't forget
they
that
definitely founded on
equality.
equality.
Women couldn't vote either.
Yeah, they.
And nobody's couldn't vote either.
Yeah, people who didn't own land couldn't vote. Yeah. But don't worry, it's definitely. Oh, women also couldn't vote. Natives, Asians, anyone who wasn't white.
Like slaves were 3/5 of a person. Like Native Americans weren't people at all.
Slaves weren't at the founding of the country. Slaves weren't even 3/5 of a person. Yeah. That wouldn't come from for 100 years.
Yeah. So these 2 documents and the ideas they embody, equality and democracy, are the rock upon which this nation is built. They are how we became the greatest nation on earth. They are how, for more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world. But as I stand here tonight,
we've also been at war for the last, all of it.
But like 10 years, yeah. But as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise. So tonight I have come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation about the threats we face and the power we have in our own hands to meet those threats, and the incredible future that lies in front of us if we only choose it. We must forget, we the people, are the true heirs of the American experiment that began more than 2 centuries ago. We the people have burning inside each of us the flame of liberty that is lit here at Independence Hall. A flame that was lit our way through abolition, the Civil War, suffrage, the Great Depression, World Wars, civil rights.
Wait, the Great Depression lit a flame of liberty? What?
I'm pretty sure the Great Depression, aside from the Patriot Act, is kind of responsible for some of the shit we're dealing with now.
What, the
World Wars that Biden himself wasn't in favor of?
Woodrow Wilson is the worst thing to ever happen economically to this country.
Well, and directly behind him, FDR.
And FDR, yeah.
And then right behind them is Jimmy Carter and Joe Biden.
Yeah. The sacred flame still burns now in our time as we build an America that is more prosperous, free, and just.
Biden would go on to say...
You keep saying these words. I don't think they mean what you think they mean.
That is the work of my presidency, a mission I believe with my whole soul. But first,
You know,
we
I'm
must
really
be
looking forward to Biden's new books, My Struggle.
First, we must be honest with each other and ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Did he actually just take one of Hitler's speeches and change words? Like,
Literally.
I'm
Literally.
kind of wondering.
Literally,
Like towards Jews and
tone for tone.
I mean, and he's doing this.
They changed Jews to Cheetos, and
Yeah, and he's doing this in front of this deep red background with a pair of uniformed Marines directly behind him.
Which is a violation.
Yes,
by
it's
the
a
way.
huge violation.
Yes. But now I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans, are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology.
We are not against all of the Jews, only the anti-socialist Jews, the Bolshevik ones, and the capitalist ones. This is what we are against.
Give me a paragraph. I know because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans, but there is no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans, and that is a threat to this country.
So hang on. I want to point out here that the left, the Democrat Party, has been beholden to people like the Squad, AOC, and all of them for since freaking AOC made it into Congress from being a barista.
Mm-hmm.
But they're gonna call out the extremist elements of the Republican Party.
No.
And not only that, what he's talking about as far as mainstream Republicans, he's talking about freaking weak-spined pieces of shit like Mitt Romney and John McCain and Meghan McCain.
No. Those are mainstream Republicans.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
He's calling out his political opposition, calling them a threat to democracy while standing in front of Independence Hall.
Yeah, I think you're misunderstanding what I said, Jason.
Of independence was written.
I think you're misunderstanding it. He was calling out as people that are okay, as people like Meghan McCain and
he said they're okay.
The fuck knob.
That they're not his political rivals.
No, because they're all too happy to sit down and suck on the geriatric dick.
Because
the
they're
rhinos are
moderate. Because they're moderate
Anybody else is bad.
Which not even moderate Republicans. They're conservative liberals.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Republicans in name only.
This sounds familiar.
No, they're not in name only. Those are actual Republicans.
I think I've heard this speech before.
Andrew's gonna get us kicked off of Google.
Yep, pretty sure I've heard this before.
Yeah, it's extremely similar. Like that's
similar to some of the.
That's what they did in that's what they're accusing Putin of doing. That's what they did in China and in North Korea,
Vietnam,
and the Middle East, everywhere, right?
I'm starting.
Saddam and Gaddafi. Zelensky just did it in Ukraine.
Yep.
Where he literally banned the Republican or the Russian party from holding any political office in Ukraine.
I'm starting to notice a trend here. So we have a leader who's decrying the need to remove
leader.
Okay, well, somebody who's ostensibly in charge of the government, who is decrying the opposition, who has a Department of Homeland Security that's saying that you should report
That's a good one.
your own neighbors, who's saying that, oh, we should socialize all of these things and just forgive all of these debts, who's also extremely anti-Russia. You know, I think I've seen this one. This season of the collapse of the United States seems awfully derivative. And
it seems to run parallel to the rise of the Third Reich.
oh, did I mention the inflation, the rapid inflation too? Hey,
Where
Yes.
America?
Weimar America.
Weimar America. Gee, it's almost like I predicted this a year and a half ago.
Hashtag
2 years
status
ago?
quo.
Yeah, status
Yeah.
quo.
What was that, episode 91 of the status quo?
93,
98, I believe.
98.
98.
98, the status
Episode
quo.
98 of the status quo.
Yep.
Yep. And,
And,
it's like,
you know,
I think we're up to
it's-
2 years ago now. It was 2 years ago
Yeah.
that I did that one.
And sitting around campfires with Andrew and having these conversations. We've been talking about this for 3+ years.
Yep. Let's see. There was,
I mean,
Those
Hell,
who do not
I-
learn from the past.
I'll go farther back. My dad called most of this stuff back in the late 90s.
all right, hold on. Give me these 2 paragraphs, and then we'll get off this speech. Quote: MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders, and they fan the flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights, the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country.
Political violence. You mean like burning down every major city in the country 2 years
It
ago?
was this was a mostly peaceful speech.
Yes, fiery but mostly peaceful. The red backdrop really gives the impression of fiery but mostly.
And again, just to reiterate, this motherfucker is doing this with a pair of fucking military in uniform behind him and a bright red background. You know, bright red, the color that's generally associated with freedom, and not at all every one of the most genocidal empires in history.
Oh, I'll even go into the realm of fiction.
In front of
Think about
Independence
the
Hall. In front
Yeah.
of Independence Hall, where the Declaration of Independence was written.
think about the image of freaking Admiral Hux during the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. The dude's standing there, lines of stormtroopers in front of him, but behind him is this gigantic red banner, and he's flanked on both sides by military.
Okay, hold on. Back to an America where there is no right to choose vaccine mandates.
Mm.
No right to privacy.
The
Patriot
NSA.
Act, NDAA, the DHS,
Fucking FISA
Stingrays,
courts.
FISA courts.
Mhm.
No right to contraception. There's contraceptions
You can
everywhere.
totally go buy
Yeah,
contraception.
Yeah.
In many states, hell, you can buy it without a prescription right over the counter at the local
No
pharmacy.
right to marry who you love. The government should not be involved in that in the first place.
Yeah,
No,
and as it is, the government can.
this
tell you that
relationship
you're
is
not
so
allowed.
great. Yes, this relationship is so great. We need to get the government involved.
They promote authoritarian leaders.
You mean like the guy who's lecturing us right now?
They
You mean
fan
like a guy who's condemning his political opposition while
Right.
flanked by military and a giant red background?
Or his insanely corrupt VP who held people in prison longer than their sentences.
Yes,
order
he
to,
argued that it was
staff
because
fire
they needed the
departments.
labor.
and hid evidence in order to keep innocent people in jail to protect her record.
You know,
Yep.
this is starting to sound even more familiar.
Yeah, hold on. They promote authoritarian leaders who fan the flames of political violence.
You mean
Like
like
burning down entire neighborhoods in the Twin Cities?
That is
or
a,
like
hold
how
on, that is a threat to our personal rights.
that
I do
you're
not think
already-
that's what it means. What you think it means?
To the pursuit of justice.
See previous.
See previous. Yep.
Does the zero bail reform anybody? Yeah.
Right.
To the rule of law.
Yeah. See previous again.
To the
Considering you're
very,
violating the law with the fucking Marines.
to the very soul of this country. This is the man standing in front of Independence Hall, where
Flanked by
the
Marines.
greatest breakup letter of all time basically told the king, "Fuck around and find out." Was
Dear
written.
King, it's not us, it's you.
Yes.
And you know that I still love that too, because I love that America goes to war over taxes that, if you actually look at what the taxes were levied over, they totally deserve to pay for, because they started the war in the first fucking place.
I would be happy
Right.
as fuck to pay those taxes right now.
Oh, yeah.
Over what we have now.
Over what we have now.
Well, yeah, but I
Man.
mean, like,
But you know, you
Keep
were
in
talking
mind-
about fanning the fanning the flames of political violence. You mean like Maxine Waters standing in a group of people in Minneapolis, talking about we need to become more active and we need to do more and do more and do more if we don't get the verdict we want.
or AOC pretending to get arrested as she screams for more riots.
Or
Yeah.
AOC standing outside of an empty camp of illegal immigrants, pretending to
calling for
Pretend-
political violence against the SCOTUS.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She was in the parking lot
Handing
for
out-
that picture. It was fucking glorious.
yeah, it was a fenced-in parking lot.
Not even
Next to an
facing
empty building.
the structure. It was facing the
No,
desert.
she was inside the fenced-in area with the structure that she should have been
Yeah,
protesting
behind her.
at behind her, and
Yeah,
she's
she was
crying
looking
at
out.
the fence, looking out into
Yeah,
the desert.
and she's so obviously not actually crying. Like, it's completely, very obviously a posed
Right.
photo. And it's, yeah, like, this is while wearing all white. You notice that was also a strategic thing.
And it was like
attempt to be
probably a
angelic
$2,000
savior.
outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably made in Southeast Asia by a bunch of children in sweatshops.
Yep.
The shoes, definitely.
Or you know, somebody who wears a dress to the Met Gala that says "Eat the Rich" on it.
Yeah. With what was it?
You're in a room with some of the wealthiest people
Was it
in
a
the fucking country.
$35,000 ticket or something like that to the?
Yeah, 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, so $35,000 to go to the most exclusive rich people event in the world, pretty much, and wearing a dress that
says
costs
"Eat the Rich."
thousands and thousands of dollars itself. Yeah, that says "Eat the Rich." Like, this is the definition of irony. And these people
And-
lack any self-awareness. That's the thing. They lack all self-awareness. So
Yep.
they are unaware that they are the new Nazis. They're unaware that they're the new Communist Party, that they're the new Politburo. They are completely unaware of this shit. They don't even notice. And if you point it out, they just go, "Oh, well, Godwin." Well, no, if the jackboot fucking fits, motherfucker.
All right, hold on. I just. I know this nation. I know you. The American people. I know your courage. I know your hearts, and I know our history. This is a nation that honors our Constitution. We do not.
Since
we do
when?
not reject it. This is a nation that believes in the rule of law. We do not repudiate.
unless you're a wealthy person or
This is a nation that respects free and fair elections.
after spending 4 years in 2016.
We
and
do not
2020.
deny it. And this is a nation that rejects violence as a political tool. We do
This
not
whole
encourage
fucking
violence.
country
Violence
was
is
founded
their
on
only
violence as a
political
political tool.
We are still in America that believes in honesty and decency and respect for others, patriotism, liberty, justice for all, hope, possibilities. We are still, at our core, a democracy.
This guy, whoever
Andrew,
wrote this
hold on,
speech
quick
for
question.
him.
Andrew, in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, how many times does the word democracy appear?
Zero. Because we're not a democracy. We were never intended to be a democracy. We were meant to be a representative republic, which is nothing like a democracy. Athens was a democracy.
We saw how
Look how
well it
that
worked
worked
out
out.
for them.
Oh,
Didn't the Romans start off as a democracy too?
Yeah, well, no, the Romans started off as a representative republic. They were always a representative republic.
Until they went full
This is-
authoritarian. But
this is
But they were like a weird hybrid thing because they weren't truly like a. I don't know. The Romans were weird, man.
And I know our history. This is a nation that honors the Constitution. We do not reject it.
the United
from the
States
same
has
party.
Yes.
They're still
From the
pushing.
same
Still pushing HR 1808.
Yeah, the same party
Yep.
that is pushing anti-gun regulations. The same party that when the Supreme Court went, look, the Supreme Court, when they did Roe v. Wade, were trying to legislate from the bench, and that's not actually allowed under the Constitution. So really that shouldn't have happened in the first place. And then they said we should burn down the Supreme Court. That same party
That's not political violence, though. That's free speech.
that threatened to kill the Supreme Court justices.
Mostly peaceful protesting.
Yeah, it's mostly peaceful. I mean, the guy that showed up outside Kavanaugh's home to try to kill him with a knife was mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful. Yeah. So there's like, I don't know, this would be like a 700 Pinocchio article.
This is just it. And the thing is, though, is
Hold on,
like
this is a nation that respects free and fair elections. We honor the will of the people.
the same
We can
from
go,
the same
we can go
party.
back to even before 2016, which is the most glaring one. Go all the way back to 2000 with the hanging chads.
The
in Florida
hanging
and all.
chads.
The angled chads, dimpled chads,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's like
pregnant chads.
Yeah,
It's
the
like-
pregnant chads.
you people have been whining and complaining anytime you've lost an election.
No, how many foreign elections has the U.S. government been involved in?
Oh, they've meddled in
Oh, yeah.
everything. Look at, dude, you want to see just how bad the U.S. can
Zelensky is a U.S. puppet
Yeah,
in Ukraine.
Well, look at the United States history in Vietnam and what we did in South Vietnam. Look at the American history right up through
the entire Middle East.
to World War II,
The
all the way
entire
through to
Central
World War
America?
II. Yeah, Central and South America, and what we did in Central and South America. More than 15 violent foreign interventions because we didn't like who was getting elected. It was interfering with American business interests.
Yeah.
Yep.
The whole reason that Fidel Castro could even foment a revolution in Cuba is because Batista was a violent despot who had the backing of the United States.
Yep.
Like,
and look at how well that has done for the Americans.
Noriega? Anybody?
Yeah.
Noriega?
yeah, you know who else
Noriega?
was a violent despot that had the backing of the United States? Saddam Hussein.
Yep.
Muammar Gaddafi.
Another great series by Matt at the Status Quo.
Oh.
He does on the School of the Americas.
Here's another violent despot that had the backing of the United States. Osama bin Laden.
I mean, yeah.
Well, and then even at home, right? We rewind it to at home, and the fact that like Mark Zuckerberg can't come into Wisconsin because there's technically an arrest warrant for him for illegal election meddling in the U.S. or in Wisconsin with the election because he dumped a ton of money into intentionally, partisanly going out and helping only Democrats go vote, which is illegal under state law. Like, this is your free elections. This is your election integrity right here. All of the ballots that were found, all the mail-in ballots that were found in warehouses and in dumpsters and things.
The truckload of ballots that showed up at the counting booth after the doors were locked. I mean, come on now.
Yep. The remember that one Democrat senator staffer who was found with a voting machine in their house.
Yep.
I mean, like, but don't worry, they believe in free election.
So, all right. jump on this article written for Mises.org. This was written by Tho Bishop. I don't know if you guys know who Tho Bishop is. Look him up. It's THO Bishop. But last night, Joe Biden was propped up behind the presidential seal in front of a historic Independence Hall and gave the most provocative and divisive speech in modern American history. I can't disagree with that statement at all.
No.
With the sight of the signing of the Declaration of Independence cloaked in an ominous blood red, Biden sputtered his way through an attack on, quote, insurrectionists he labeled as threatening American democracy, political norms, and the rule of law. The optics of the event were likely the idea of a proud Biden staffer, fresh off receiving a $10,000 subsidy to their student loan debt, leaning into, quote, dark Brandon aesthetic that has become popular among regime loyalists on Twitter. To Americans outside of this very online echo chamber, the imagery drew connotations of sinister authoritarian regimes ranging as Nazi Germany, the Empire of Star Wars, or the fascist regime of V for Vendetta.
We have to remind everyone why they need us.
The substance of the speech supported these comparisons. It was a display of a weak regime projecting strength at a time of mass unpopularity and rising polling numbers of political opponents in pivotal midterm elections. None of this is
I don't think it's going to help. I don't think projecting the spirit of authoritarian regimes, whether fictitious or realistic, or from reality.
So it did two things, right? First, it made Biden look strong. What he said, if you don't know how to read between the lines, what he said was a very strong statement, right? Like there's been a lot of negativity about Trump and MAGA and the election stealing, all that stuff. So what Biden said, if you're a normie, was a very, very strong leadership statement. On the flip side, it was an entire character assassination against Trump and everyone who supports him. Right, and if you go back, we talked about Rome earlier being a democracy and Republican, all that good stuff. The movie Gladiator. Yep. There's a fantastic line in that where one of the other slaves, he's talking to General Maxis, and he says, "You have a fantastic name. He has to kill that before he can kill you." Right. So this was an entire propaganda character assassination against Trump and everyone that supports him. And there are people that are in that camp because someone else that they agree with is in that camp. They don't have the conviction to believe it themselves, but as a social activity, they do support it. And attacking that reputation while coming out looking strong will waver a lot of those people.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, remember that people are very tribal. They like to associate themselves with groups. That's why there are all of these, the starter pack memes on like people who are this way or that way or into this or into that, and you can predict what they're going to dress like and what they're going to listen to and all these other things, because people are under the impression that I have to be this way to be part of this group. And so people who are rural farmers who don't like Democrats and things think they have to associate with Trump in order to be part of this, independent, free America kind of movement. They think they have to be associated with Trump in order to do that. What this is doing is trying to separate them out from that, so that only the people who truly believe in Trump will still support him. Now, I don't know why you would support Trump anyway. I don't know why you'd support Brandon either. But either way, like, there are morons who support both of these sides, and the ones who support Biden are now cheering for the heads of, the MAGA people, and the MAGA people are now even more militarized as a result of this. This galvanized them.
When you demonize the people that you disagree with, it vindicates any actions that you take against them.
Yep.
Right. Like like you could literally drone bomb a Trump speech right now, and the left would absolutely share it.
They
Yeah.
would.
They would.
They would
They'd
justify
celebrate
it
in the
to the ends
streets.
of the earth.
And vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And vice
Mhm.
versa.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, and it's well, and Jason, I love the meme that you made with Biden with the quote from the speech from V for Vendetta
yes.
over it. The tonight our country, that which we stand for and all we hold dear, faces a grave and terrible threat. Like, it's basically exactly what he said, but it's the speech from V for Vendetta.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't be able to tell the difference unless you knew.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
no, you wouldn't.
This was a huge propaganda piece, and it hit. It hit fantastically. Like Goebbels
On both sides.
Like
Well,
this,
yeah,
this would get 4 stars from Goebbels.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Is I was like, I think whoever wrote the speech for him must have actually read Goebbels' book, and then used his notes on propaganda and things. Because you notice it's like
Goebbels
full
was a
of
student
buzzwords.
of Freud.
Yeah, and it's, and the thing is like this is so Joseph Goebbels, right? It's about full of a bunch of catchphrases and buzzwords that is going to resonate with people. It's
namely your base.
It's whipping up an existing xenophobia.
Yep.
That already and exigent xenophobia. It's not trying to reinvent anything and label anybody new an enemy. It's just saying to the people who already view this outside group as enemies, like, yeah, they're definitely enemies. So it's just trying to reinforce that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really ultimately there was no. It's not substantive, right? There's no actual substance to this at all. There's no here's why. There's none of that. It's just words that are
it's just
going to resonate without saying
it's them bad, we good. No clarification. That's it.
It's that, but it goes a little bit further because this wasn't out of the blue, right? This is something that they've been building to, right? Yes. With the DVE and the MVEs, banning Trump off social media, and the mainstream media. Right, the propaganda arm of the regime. This is something that they've been building up to. I don't know if I don't want to say this speech was written a year ago or nothing like that, of course, but they refer to the January 6th in this speech, right?
The speech itself wasn't written a year ago, but the foundation for it's been laid since.
The foundation has been like the
Yeah, you have to shift that, shift that window.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole thing is that they've been pushing that window ever since Biden showed up. They've been pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and now this is the culmination of it. It's attempting to drive a point of fear home amongst their base. That if you allow them to regain any sense of power, then we're screwed. Then America will fall.
Yeah, you can't. Well, the thing, like a speech like that is so blatantly a call to arms and so nasty to the opposition. You can't just come out of the blue with that, right? You have to build it up. To it. You had to wait until, you had to wait until the foundation had been laid, that they had been moving that, moving that window, that they had been building to it and getting to that point where the rhetoric has already been getting said, and it's been getting said repeatedly, loudly, and longly for an extended period of time, and it built to this, right? It's the same thing as like the audio I was playing before, that's from Hitler's famous Reichstag speech where he finally condemns the Jews openly. And
by the way, that was a fantastic meme you made of that.
The
Biden in front of the Reichstag.
I thought that was really but like that's the thing though, is like and the one I did is actually Biden in the Reichstag actually doing the speech. Yeah, that speech exactly. So like, but you can't come out of the blue and say that stuff because everyone will like recognize it and be like, whoa, what? But because they've been saying little bits of this for 2 years, now when he makes that speech, a bunch of people go, oh yeah, that's reasonable.
Yep, they've been like we've been saying, they've been pushing and pushing and pushing, trying to normalize this type of, divisive rhetoric. That way, when they do come out and say it blatantly, it comes across to their base at least as something unifying.
Yeah, not shocking.
And that's essentially what it does: is it galvanizes the base, both bases. Realistically, it galvanizes both bases. So that way, now the middle that they have to convince every election shrinks more.
Yeah, because you got to push everybody to the extremes, right? If you want, you want to be able to push towards a final solution to your opposition, you have to push everybody to one side or the other. You can't have anybody in the middle, because the people in the middle will be like, but wait, I don't necessarily support you either. Are you against me too? Like, you need to start pushing early
and at some
you're
point,
either with us or against us thing.
Right. And at some point, there's going to be those few people in the middle that don't support either side. And those people are going to end up being forced onto the side of whichever party is not in power when shit goes sideways. Because because they're not standing with either side.
Yeah, change doesn't happen from the middle. Right, no. It happens on the extremes, and then pulls the middle with it to one side or the other. So,
or pushes it
away. Yeah, so
you have to polarize people.
Yes, because I know quite a few people that they did vote for Darth Brandon, but then they turn around after that speech and they're like, "Oh my God, I cannot support this ever again."
No, that was just on just a visual standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Like without really reading the speech at all, just from a visual standpoint, standing in front of it.
Yeah,
the red lighting.
Yeah, the screenshot of Biden standing there like this.
The Marines in the background, like you can just barely see their kind of ghost figure looking like that is a powerful piece of imagery, and you absolutely know that initial screenshot that came out, that was handpicked.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to look as intimidating and everything is possible. It was designed to exude authoritarian imagery. Like, that's what it was designed to do, was to echo authoritarian imagery. Because they're like, the whole thing, there's that famous saying, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them.
Yes.
This is Biden and his, and the political elite in the United States declaring who they are, and everyone should believe them, that they are really like this, that this imagery was intentional. It was carefully selected. His very dark suit was carefully selected. The lighting was carefully set up. The position of the Marines, even having the Marines there, was carefully selected. Like, all of this was carefully orchestrated to be as threatening as possible.
The only thing missing was a parade of tanks.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, now he just needs to have a great big parade right down Pennsylvania Avenue of all of the military.
That sounds familiar.
You mean like the one Trump wanted to have?
Exactly like the one Trump wanted to have.
Kim Jong-un has?
Yep. The ones that Hitler had.
And another way that you're able to tell just how intentional that imagery was supposed to be is when the doors open on Independence Hall and the Marines come out and stand post. The building is lit up in white light. As soon as the Bidens come through and past the Marines, it immediately changes to the red.
Yeah. Well, the sulfur and brimstone.
Did you guys hear
tones...
that?
No.
Okay.
Hear what?
So when the Marines come out and stand post, it's white light. After the Bidens come out is when it changes, and after they've passed the Marines, it changes red. That's how you know just how intentional it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. So
So,
while the sulfur and brimstone tones spewing from Joe Biden may spark news cycles, economic distress continues to dominate the concerns of voting Americans. At the same time, Hispanic Americans, many of which are alarmed at the cultural radicalism of the modern Democratic Party, are undermining
Because they fucking lived it.
the assumptions of the demographics are destiny framework that has directed so much of the left's political strategy in recent decades. Attempts to smear new Republican Hispanics as the white nationalists is surprising having little impact. And while Joe Biden mocks brave right-wing Americans that cling to the notion that their AR-15s can protect them from F-15 sea controls, the mentally declining commander-in-chief should pay more attention to the government's failures in Afghanistan, which was, 2 years ago last week? Or a year ago last week?
A year ago last week.
The Afghan military surrendered billions of dollars in high-tech military supplies to the Taliban forces, not because they were out-armored, but because the incompetent and kleptomaniac liberal regime America installed lacked the true support of the people and was not a cause many saw dying for. Likewise, the collapse of military enlistment in America military reflects the sincere and growing disillusionment with Washington and itself. While state propaganda may be trying to make the military appeal to America's growing transgender population, they don't seem to take the task of replacing young working class men the modern class of generals dismisses as privileged.
The thing is that it's all you need was that line from Monty Python, right? Supreme executive power derives from a mandate from the masses, not from some farcical aquatic ceremony. It's the thing you got to remember is that one of the things that changed regimes in Rome was violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the emperors were getting killed. If the emperor ostensibly was in charge of the Senate and could ignore the Senate, but if he did, the Senate had plenty of assassins right next to the emperor to take him down and kill him and then install a new one.
That's also what changed the civil rights movement here in the United States was political violence. King's letter from the prison literally said, you can deal with me, the peaceful Republican, the Christian, or you can deal with Malcolm X.
Yeah, you can deal with the Nation of Islam, historically known for their incredible tolerance and nonviolent moves. Yeah, and that's the thing is and what's going on is that historically, I think in the United States for probably about the past 150 years, we have forgotten a lot of people have forgotten that realistically, the only reason that the government remains in existence is because all of the people capable of enacting violence to remove it are choosing not to. Mm-hmm. And what's happened recently with the escalations of political violence in the country is suddenly the government has been reminded that it only exists because the people who are capable of enacting enough violence to remove them are not doing so. That's the only reason they're still there. So now what they're trying to do is they have moved, in light of that, from trying to be peaceful and, we're going to unite everybody and can't we all just get along, to, well, I have guns too.
Yes.
And that's where things have gone. And that's where it's just going to keep going until the guns well and truly matter.
Yep. And that's been the case. They've been pushing that since, I would say probably since the 94 crime bill, the Brady bill, where they first laid the groundwork for banning, you could even go as far back as to say the NFA of 38.
Well, yeah, the whole Operation Pat Con and all that good stuff going back to the mid 80s. I mean, same thing.
And that's what it boils down to, is they're trying to push the weapons that they would actually need to fear out of the hands of the civilian population.
Well, not that, but like the Revolutionary War, right? The War for Independence and the Civil War, like those built up for a long time before the first bullet was ever fired.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Civil War has its origins in like the 1820s.
Mhm.
Like
And some would even argue it goes back to the
States,
end of the War of 1812.
Yeah, I mean, like the United States was 30 years old when the beginnings of the Civil War, the American Civil War, started to truly ferment, and we started moving towards that. I mean, don't forget Bleeding Kansas versus the actual Civil War. There's like 15 years between those two events.
Mm-hmm.
There's a significant amount of time. Like there are, that's why you talk about, when you in American high schools, why they go through, have to go through starting so early, and you go through so many events that predate the Civil War so much, because it's all clearly that path, and it's that thing just building and building and building and building and building.
But they don't even do that nowadays. All they do is gloss over it, and then they cover the Revolutionary War in depth. They cover the Civil War in depth, but they don't cover anything about the lead up to both.
Yeah, no, because that would be too much information.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that would make them realize
most
that we're
that's
headed
a
down
lot
that
of
road.
So would you agree with MSNBC host that says Civil War may have already started?
Yeah.
I mean, effectively, I think that, there's that, I have that thing about critical mass that, I talk about my theory that there's a point where the snowball has begun to roll, and you can't, to a point, and has gotten to a mass that it can no longer be stopped. Like there was a point in our lead up to what's coming that we could have stopped it. It was still small enough, but the bigger it gets, the faster it's moving, and the faster it moves, the bigger it gets.
Yep.
And it just keeps building to a critical point where there is no stopping it anymore. It is going to happen.
And I think we are well and beyond that point of no return.
Yeah.
MSNBC's Tiffany Cross hosted writers Jelani Cobb and Barbara F. Walter on her show, The Cross Connection, to discuss the possibility of a civil war instigated by former President Donald Trump and his MAGA supporters. During the conversation, Cross suggested such a conflict has, quote, already begun.
Like calling them, the greatest threat to the American Republic didn't already.
Quote, these days it feels like we're not just at the brink of a civil war, but that one has already begun. To back up her supposition, she shared 2 clips, one from Republican Senator Lindsey Graham saying that violence would erupt if Trump was arrested, and another former Trump advisor, Steve Bannon, agreeing with a Vox article that accused the MAGA movement of being, quote, a threat to the American state.
Well, and I happen to partially agree with Lindsey Graham.
All right, give me one paragraph. Quote, so Trump supporters are already speaking the language of violence. They're threatening the FBI, the DOJ, the state itself. And this is all as they defend their dear leader. Now it's more than just threats, though. Their rhetoric has already led to actual violence, and there is likely more to come.
Did they say mean words? Is that the violence?
I don't need to remind you how the MAGA mob sacked the Capitol on January 6th.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
To overturn the 2020 election.
Sacked the Capitol, obeying all of the velvet ropes, quietly walking through.
When
insurrectionist grandma
scheduled tool.
Yeah. I mean, all I can think of is that video of that woman who'd been maced going, "It's a revolution," after being maced. Like, yeah, they were hardcore rebels, so dangerous. You fucking idiots! You ain't seen nothing yet.
But yeah, I happen to agree with Lindsey Graham. The hardcore MAGA crowd would probably go absolutely apeshit if Trump were to be arrested and thrown in the slammer.
I mean, we're a fucking powder keg right now.
Yes. All it takes is one thing. All it takes is one galvanizing thing to happen.
If Trump gets arrested and the MAGA crowd actually starts shit, right? If that actually happens, it's dogpile time from all these other groups. They're all going to start dogpiling in, and it's just going to build and build
exactly.
and build into a full-on cross-country civil fucking war. And the one place you might not see that happen is Hawaii, because
They don't have any guns.
they don't have any guns, and they're 2,600 miles out to sea. It's real hard to get out there.
The only thing you'll see happen in Hawaii is you'll see like the royal family take back over and be like, no, we're not taking part in this shit.
If the descendants of Kamehameha take back over Hawaii, like, I'm probably moving to Hawaii. Like,
right?
At that point, I'm going to Hawaii. I'm like, all right, yeah, I can deal with that.
But yeah,
Just show up and what up, brother?
yeah. There's a really good Adams quote from the Revolutionary War. It basically says that, like, the Revolutionary War was enacted before the first bullet was ever fired, and it was a change in the mindset and the beliefs and the duties of the people, and that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing people, get their hair up. We're seeing people, straighten their back. We're seeing people starting to draw their own mental lines in the sand, and they're starting to push back. And as you guys said, it's only going to take, one or two things, right? Just one or two small things. And then the way social media works, like, a small thing happens over here and it goes like wildfire across the internet. And that inspires someone over here on the other coast to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And that again goes like wildfire across social media. And that's all it's going to take.
Well, yeah, you saw the same thing in the Middle East during Arab Spring, right? Where everything had gotten to that point, and it was just sitting there, and all it took was that one last domino.
Yeah.
And once that got pushed, everything started, and it was one country after another, with one popular revolution, another popular revolution, another popular revolution, another popular revolution. And a lot of it was fomented through things like WhatsApp and Telegram and Signal, and like all of these secure messaging services, and people talking to each other. And once things began, things just kept going.
Yep.
And it just completely altered the political landscape of the Middle East in a matter of months.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and I keep seeing on social media people talking about the first state to secede is going to be absolutely legendary. I don't think it's going to be at the state level. It's going to be closer to home. It's going to be at the local level where it's going to happen.
It's going to be some midtown city, some mid-sized city or town, telling the state no, like, we're not going to do this.
Yep.
And it's going to be the state
might not even be that,
like a Battle of Athens situation.
I was actually going to say it might be another situation like a Ruby Ridge,
mm-hmm.
where the feds just decide to go full bore at one guy over something stupid. And
you're playing to my fantasies right there.
Right.
Or it'll be another Bundy Ranch thing, except this time the feds won't back down, and
the feds can't back down.
At this point, they can't back down. They have to go.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, which means that at that point, it is going to be somebody is going to shoot,
and that's we're in a good situation for that right now in the West, right? With the attack on the administrative state, right? The attack against the EPA with Chevron deference being attacked, with the drought happening, with food shortages happening, with people having to sell their choose between cows or feed, right? Having to sell their cows because they can't afford the feed bill, or they can't afford the water anymore, and that's creating situations where ranchers and farmers are getting desperate.
We're seeing
quick fun fact. Farmers and ranchers have the highest suicide of any industry.
I believe it.
Yes,
I believe it.
So, that's all it's going to take. That's all it's going to take is some rancher or farmer to say no.
Mhm.
You know,
Well,
a
and the
rancher
thing
or
is,
farmer to get desperate and to open that
Well, and-
spillway.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that-
look
so
at
they-
what's
they
going
can-
on. I think it's in California where they're saying that they're going to start billing people for the water they take out of their
They're
private
taxing
wells.
private wells.
Taxing private wells.
well, not only that, but remember they started talking about trying to steal water from here in the Midwest and taking it to out west.
That's not going to have
and-
any sort of ecological issues at all.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but
No.
like immediately everyone in the Midwest, pretty much everyone, almost universally went, fuck you, no. And at that point, there were articles coming out.
Yeah, that is completely unrealistic in the first place.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there were articles coming out left and right from writers in California and Arizona and Washington and Oregon, like going, well, how dare you say no? We deserve it. Why? Why do you fucking deserve it? But immediately
Because of your own
You
mismanagement, we should give
built
you
a
ours.
city in the middle of the fucking desert. Shut the fuck up about my water.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I have a city that is at the confluence of 7 rivers. Actually, like more like 9, but 7 official rivers. I have more lakes than Minnesota. I have the 2 Great Lakes bordering me. Screw you, it's my water. And that's because I settled in an intelligent place. You morons settled in the desert, that's on you. And that's the attitude. But the thing is,
Well, and they settled in the desert
this-
because they were chasing gold.
Right, but it's again this thing where it's creating this loggerheads between 2 different parts of the country, where people in the West, increasingly, the socialists in the West are going, well, I deserve this because I need it. And then people in the Midwest are going,
in the West,
fucking
I
no.
deserve your water because my lawn is turning brown and I don't want a desalinization plant off the coast.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're like,
Yeah, you're
well,
you're
if you want
bordering a
water-
fucking ocean.
Fucking bad.
yeah, if you want water, you can move to Illinois, and they have
No.
plenty of water. Please
No,
don't move to Wisconsin, Iowa, or Minnesota, but
No, they
Illinois.
can go to Illinois. They can have Illinois. I'm
Illinois
willing
is
to
already
sacrifice
so left,
Illinois.
they won't even notice. It'll be
Right.
fine.
If you're a liberal in California and you want to move to a fantastic place, move to Idaho. It's down there by Phoenix.
Yeah, it'll go well for you. It'll
Yeah.
go great.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing, though, is like this is again, it's endemic of this, this divide that's happening where people are starting to demand things. The people who have failed, who have made bad decisions, are increasingly demanding more and more and more from those who make good decisions, from those who are successful, those who are, working hard for themselves and succeeding.
Yeah,
they're demanding more and more and more from them.
That's the same adage about a socialist can survive in a capitalist economy, but a capitalist can't survive in a socialist economy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's and we're seeing that, and that's causing another rift. And it's just one thing after another is causing rifts in the country and causing splits and irreconcilable differences.
Mhm.
And what happens in a marriage when you decide that you have irreconcilable differences? You divorce.
Yes.
Hashtag national divorce.
Yes. The fact that right after Biden's tweet that was trending made me smile. Almost as much as the hashtag pedo Hitler. That was
Yeah, the
fantastic.
pedo Hitler was
pedo Hitler
freaking
was
glorious. Oh my god, that was awesome. Hell yeah.
I mean, hashtag pedo Hitler, and like all the people that supported Biden were like, "Oh, look at Trump with Ghislaine Maxwell," and we're like, "Yeah, bro, I know." It's
What's your point?
Yeah.
that doesn't help. That doesn't help your cause, bro.
Yeah. When they're like, well, he's a pedo too. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And
I know.
Yeah.
yes.
All of them are. They're-
Congratulations, you noticed.
They're either directly or they support them.
Yeah. I love like Ricky Gervais's speech at the Academy Awards with his like, I know he was your friend. Shut up. I don't care. Like
Trending
That was
today is
so
Dementia
glorious.
Don after his speech the other day.
Like Epstein was a billionaire, bro. How do you think he got that money?
exactly. That's
The Lolita Express is profitable.
well the whatchamacallit, that chick from Smallville or whatever that was helping run the
Allison
Next-
Mack.
Allison
yeah,
Mack,
the
Oh yeah.
the sex cult.
Yeah, how do you think that was able to operate for so long in the shadows? Because it was being protected.
Henry Weinstein, look him up.
Yeah, like, uh,
Yeah,
It's-
national divorce, secession. I would love to see, and I see a little bit of pushback in Idaho right now, where the feds are claiming control over water in Idaho. Instead of Idaho wants to give it to some ranchers, but the feds are claiming that they own the water, so that Idaho
Them-
can't. But there's some pushback there with like the sagebrush rebellion. It's slowly starting to build up. Oh, and I would love to see a sagebrush.
I could see kickoff being Montana or Idaho. I could really honestly see that.
Montana's has an issue with the grizzly and the Central Montana ecological district, I think is what it's called. They have grizzly numbers that are high enough there that they're starting to become a menace. Like they're starting to do negative economic or ecological damage, and they want the feds to take the grizzly in that district off the EPA or off the endangered species list. And the feds are like, "Fuck you, no." So,
I mean, if you want to call them endangered, we can make them endangered again.
well, I mean, the numbers are high enough that they're causing negative.
Well, right, and that's what I'm saying is like if you want to keep declaring, even though they're a menace and they're an issue, if you want to keep calling them endangered, we can make them endangered again for them.
Yeah.
We do have the technology available to us to make
that
a reality.
Mhm.
Those videos I shared the other day from Montana Precision Rifle.
Yep.
The guy shooting that 28 Nosler, dropping animals in their tracks, bro.
Dude, the
Well,
Nosler ammo.
Nosler, yeah, the Nosler cartridges, the 20. What do they have? I think they have a 25, a 26.
The
And
28
28
is like a 300 Remington Ultra Mag.
necked down to a 20
yeah,
to a
neck down.
284,
Yeah.
a 7mm.
Just screamer. My God.
Fucking-
Well, and they make a 26 Nosler, which is the same parent case, but it's necked down to a 6.5.
Yeah, drop that elk in its tracks at like 560 yards.
And
That's, I mean,
fun fact,
that's-
there's also a 22 Nosler, which uses 90 grain. Yeah, 90 grain 224 caliber
dude,
bullets.
that's like anti-tank speeds.
Yes. The 22 Nosler will push.
Are those level
at
5 plates,
maximum
bro?
bullets? It's right. Is that depleted uranium you're wearing? Because you're gonna need it.
It's my God. Well, there's that one anti-tank round that they developed. I think in South Africa. I think it's South Africa that has it. I think it's because it's Tufudi or whatever the guy, or Nafudi or whatever his name is, the guy in South Africa that has developed a ton of awesome guns. But he's got this like shoulder fired anti-tank gun that's like the casing is like a 50 cal casing neck down to like a 5.56 round. And it's so like the speeds are insane, and like it'll just punch through armor because the speed is
50
just absolutely absurd.
I want 50 cal neck down to a 7.6.
Bang. Good night. Vibe check.
No, there would be no vibration. It would just go straight through.
Oh, I mean, it just punched straight through. You'd be hit and you'd be dead and you wouldn't know it for a second or two. It's like, but I mean that at that point, that's that's a lot of energy. Because remember that you increase energy by only a factor of 1 by increasing mass, but you increase it by a factor of 3 by increasing velocity.
Right. So if you're using a 90 grain bullet and you're pushing it from a 300 Win Mag or 300 Ultra Mag, you're gonna burn out barrels in a fucking hurry. But you know what?
God,
that thing's gonna hit like a fucking anvil.
You'd almost be better off using a squeeze board.
And that's why you don't walk in a straight line in the woods.
Like
right?
you would have to have progressive rifling for that.
Yes.
Like, there's no way you can't use progressive rifling.
All of the Nosler cartridges, if I remember correctly, are factory made with progressive rifling.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just gonna explode the round in the barrel. Like you're just gonna ruin everything.
Yeah, I
Right.
think that the rifle, it's the Montana Precision Rifle 1400, I think is the model.
Yep, and
Yeah,
that one
those
was, like you
videos.
said, 28 Nosler. So that's a 7mm being pushed by a 300 Ultra Mag.
God, what is the muzzle velocity on that? That has got to
A
be
lot.
Give me a sec.
A lot.
4,000 feet per second.
Did you boog with a 28 Nos?
Imagine
As
a
an
sniper
Overwatch,
sitting up.
maybe?
And,
As an
yeah, can you imagine
Overwatch? You
yeah,
could
sniper
Overwatch
sitting
the
there and
Overwatch.
Are those level 4 plates? Don't matter.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Boom.
Is that a
Let's see.
Bradley fighting vehicle?
Yeah.
So if you are, depending on your bullet, if you have bullet weights from 100 grains to 180 grains. So your velocity differential is 2,600 feet per second at 180 grains to 3,600 feet per second at 100 grains.
Jesus Christ. 3,600 feet. That's anyone
what's-
who's
what's
unfamiliar.
normal-
That's really
What's the
fucking
bullet?
fast.
What's the bullet grain on 3600?
3,600 is a 100 grain bullet.
Shit.
If you are running, let's see, a load of 175 grain bullets on top of 92 grains of Rotumbo in a 7 mag, you're getting 3164.
Yeah.
So if you run that on the same 26-inch barrel, you're getting looks like 32.
That's a whole lot of fuck you.
3,200 feet per second, which is like what, Mach 2? Mach 3?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Well, here,
So-
let's go.
I don't know how we got on that subject. It's way far from where we were.
Yeah.
I think that's
I
about
would-
Mach 4.
I would okay. This is how we bring it back. I would argue.
And then the
Well-
feed dies.
And then the feed dies.
Feed dies. I would argue. You don't get to know. There he's
I
back.
would argue.
Okay. I would argue. There.
Am I back?
Yeah,
You're
you're
back.
back.
I said, I would argue
That was
that is resistance grade weaponry.
Yes. That's to put that in perspective. At Mach 3, glass shatters at like Mach 4.
Yes, it is
So-
noon, and it is now 100 degrees. That's
That's
where
awful.
my internet's going.
So, according to Nosler, on their own reloading data, if you run a 120 grain pill out of a 28 Nosler, you're looking at maximum velocities of 3,800 feet per second.
30. Fuck.
Wow.
Woo!
Yeah, that's boogable.
Do you have back-to-back level 4 plates in that vest?
So, and here's a 24 Nosler.
Dude, the standoff that you would need on the back of that plate from padding to keep it from just liquefying things on the back side from energy transfer would be ridiculous at 3,800 feet per second.
Yeah,
You would have
Or
to layer
somebody-
two frass vests together.
yeah.
People
Somebody
remember.
calls Scott, Kentucky Ballistics. We need to get him on this.
Yes.
Freaking glorious. Dude,
you
get
go
Flannel Daddy on it.
Scott,
Here you go.
Scott and Garantham need to get together and do a video.
26 Nosler running 100 grain bullet, 3,900 feet per second.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's almost 4,000 FPS.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's finish this up and get out of here, you guys, before my internet gets.
Any worse?
Yeah.
As I showed you guys earlier, Derica's book, Think for Yourself, Thinking Workbook for Beginners, so that you can critically think properly when the DHS tries to claim that its own logical fallacies are your logical fallacies. And you know better than that. Get the book, go through it. It's on Amazon. It's cheap. It's worth it. Go buy the thing. If you want to care for your beard like a Viking, it's thebeardstruggle.com. Use code InkedAnarchist15. You get 15% off of all of your order, and that includes all of their new scents, all of their older scents. Personally, I really love Odin's Virtue still. Haven't tried any platinum scents yet, but maybe you should. They got a beard straightener. They got stuff for ladies, not for their beards. All right, we're not talking about dwarves here, but they got all sorts of cool shit. Definitely go check them out. Make sure that you check our boy Dave at Poppins Patches out. He makes really sweet patches. He's got the tactical tricorn that two of my co-hosts here are wearing, as well as a whole bunch of the patches that they're also wearing. Super awesome. He also makes the redacted shark, which is the one that started it all. Check out what else we got. RK Spookware still around, and we're still an affiliate. Use the affiliate link, and you can get stuff for you know what. If you don't know what it is, learn.
Might be more important than you believe in the very near future.
Yes.
Get your stuff while you can.
And if you're
Chris
like me
mentioned-
and you're a caffeine addict, I would strongly recommend checking out Jeremy at the Quartering's new coffee company, Coffee Brand Coffee. If you use the link in the description, you help support the show.
Yes.
And if you'd like the shirt that I'm wearing or the patch that I have on, it's antistate.net, just so everybody knows. They don't sponsor me,
Antistate.net
but-
and then spiritofresistance.com.
Yes, also Spirit of Resistance. They have a Secede or Die patch. It's super awesome. Super
That
awesome.
one
One
right
of my
there?
favorites. Yep, that one right there.
That's
one of my
fun.
favorites, man.
Yeah.
I love that one. That one and the Come and Take It with an RPG-7 on it.
Yeah,
Absolutely
he
love
also does the keep your rifle by your side patch that I sometimes
Yep.
have right here.
it. Yep, I've rocked that one a few times too.
On that note, anything else?
I got nothing.
Yep.
No. Okay, go check out our girl Luna of Anarchist Beauties. She has been on our podcast before. She was on Unconstitutional Awakening, episode 92, just recently, and she did a pretty damn good job. So go check her out. And then I don't have anything else. You guys got anything else?
Nope.
Support your local single moms.
Always.
Yes. Support single moms, not government. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.